welcome to another episode of the Moz House Podcast. I'm here with Aima the Dreamer.
What's good, what's good?
Yeah. You were from Oakland, California, right?
Yes, coming from the Bay Area.
Yes, they just told me, so I cheated a little bit. So, could you describe your art? Tell us a little bit about yourself for all the listeners.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. My name is Aima the Dreamer. I'm coming from Oakland, California, Yay area, and I am a multidisciplinary artist. I do music, I do art installation, I do event production, and I'm here at Moz House working on a mask series.
Awesome. So I just heard you say Yay area, and that instantly reminds me of E40.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you got that from?
I mean, we get a lot of our slang from E40.
Yeah. He used to be one of my favorites.
He's a super talented guy.
Always has at least one amazing verse every year that I always find.
At least
how he does it. I don't know how he does it.
He's a champ.
Okay, so
back to me.
Yes, back to you. I'm really interested in the whole music aspect of your art career. How long have you been doing music for?
I've been doing music professionally for about 22 years. And I'm a lyricist, I'm an MC, I do hip-hop music, but I also work with a lot of live musicians, so jazz musicians, funk, Afrobeat, a lot of house music, a lot of dance music.
What's the name of your music group again?
My current group is named Femme Deadly Venoms, and we just released an album about a month and a half ago called Femnomenon.
Is it your current one? So you've been in part of a few?
Oh, I've been a part of many music projects.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many, if you hit the ballpark?
In my career, in the span of my career, at least 10.
10? Wow.
Yeah.
And that's only counting with other, collaborators?
Right. And then there's my solo project.
Jeez. It's a lot. I get sick of working with one artist, especially because they always have so much I need to deal with, especially for...
It's a delicate balance working with others, especially in a creative space, and there's a lot of trust that comes with that, and there's also a lot of willingness to be flexible.
Totally. For a lot of so I work with a few consistently, and they usually hire somebody to shoot this music video, and then they bring me in to be the director because I can have their vision in mind. And I end up always getting into, since I guess this is the lower level of art, whatever, or musical stuff, the videographers always want to be the director at the same time, and we always end up clashing, and they get very upset with me and then the artist will have to come and be like, yeah, do what he says.
Right. You're know your lane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really important in any project, artistic or otherwise, to know your role and to trust that other people are going to do the best in their role and not try and micromanage.
Yeah, agreed. And I try my best also to just, if they have any good ideas, I want to let them give their idea out because it still could be good.
Right.
But in the end, if that's
in the
not
end, you're
what
the
artist
director.
wanted, yeah. And I'm trying to give the artist what they want. That's the hardest.
Right.
The hardest part and the easiest part, because sometimes I feel like I did a bad job, and it's this is exactly what I wanted. So I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. All right. So you seem like you have a lot of mediums. Which one is your favorite, if you had to pick?
That is an impossible question because each outlet and expression feeds a different part of my spirit and allows me to fully express myself. If I had an artistic spectrum, I would want to embody the entire spectrum. I think the one that I have the strongest muscle in is my music because I have been a working musician for so long, but I had always done visual art, and I had always incorporated some element of my visual art in my performance and stage show, whether it was making my own clothing or my own accessories or doing set design or styling. And then when the pandemic really hit in 2020 and the years following, my music career was non-existent because, all of my gigs got canceled, my tours got canceled, and I was in a place where I still needed a creative outlet, and I was fortunate enough to be working with some really great friends at an organization called the African American Art and Culture Complex in San Francisco, one of the last Black-led and Black-run art and culture centers in that city. And they really saw me as a visual artist and encouraged me to explore that, especially in a time where performing music in the way that I was shifting. It wasn't that it was impossible, and in fact, I did do a lot of streaming, a lot, on Twitch and on Instagram Live and Facebook Live, but it's different. You know, you don't have that crowd. You're not like feeding off of the people. So it really allowed me a moment to redirect my energy into my visual art, and it's been fantastic. And now I'm here on the Shinnecock Reservation at Ma's house, kind of living my dream, living my best life. Awesome. So, and I don't see a separation. The visual art feeds the music inspiration. The music feeds the visual. When I'm creating in any space, if I'm making a visual art piece, I'm listening to music. And if I'm making music, I'm very much inspired by what's around me aesthetically, colors, and other art pieces. I definitely have looked at art and heard music, so I don't think there's hard boundaries.
Interesting. Well, since you don't really, I know you don't have a favorite. It's definitely an almost impossible question, especially people who are multi-talented and faceted. Is there a form of art that you would like to try that you haven't yet?
That is a fabulous question. Yes, I really want to get into clay sculpture and ceramics, and like get my hands in the clay. That's something I would love to learn. Pottery is interesting, but I'm really interested in just forms, sculpture, 3D, anything that's going to create a 3D structure experience.
I also really want to try working with clay and pottery. Haven't since I was in like elementary school, which I kind of miss it.
There is something so like instinctual when you work with clay. It is so ancient. I think it probably enacts anyone's DNA, you know, because it's something that crosses the human experience working with clay. So
I agree. Another thing that I think is instinctual is if you have a shovel at the beach, you're going to dig a hole. I just can't stop myself.
Until you hit water.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't made it that far, but
keep going.
One day.
Don't give up.
When I was a kid, I thought maybe I really can dig to China, but no, it was impossible. You have to go through the middle of the Earth's core. You live and you learn. Everybody.
Middle Earth.
Yeah, the Middle Earth. Who knows what's down there? If anything.
My favorite summer spot.
Yeah, it's nice and toasty down there. I like it here. What I've heard. So, how did you discover Ma's house?
I was trying to remember this actually the other day. I think that there was an Instagram post and someone had sent it to me in a DM. Because at the beginning of 2022, I was doing my New Year's intentions, so setting my intentions for the year, and I had set the intention that I really wanted to do more artist residencies, and specifically that I really wanted to travel and get out of my town and out of my state. And I think I had put it out to a few friends, and so people just have been sending me different residencies. And one night I stayed up until like 4 a.m, and I just filled out 100 applications. Wow. I just was like, I'm applying to everything. And I was so lucky that Ma's house, you know, recognized me and offered me this spot.
That's awesome. How was your interview process with Jeremy?
It was super easy. I don't know if there was much of an interview per se. I think I filled out the application, and then I got an email that was like, we're interested. Here's the stipulations. Here's what it's about. Please confirm, which I did. But I'll tell you something that was really interesting for me in the application process, which was, and I don't think this was on purpose, but somehow through the Google Google form process, I was able to see everybody else's
Oh
application.
my God, was that really?
Yeah, so I'm probably that was probably a mistake because probably not supposed to see other people's applications, but it was specifically a turning moment for me because I at that point had been applying to residencies in a vacuum, kind of like I'm sort of new to this world. I'm learning a lot. Like I was saying, I'm more versed in the music world, so I'm learning about the art world and how to talk about my art and how to talk about what I want to do. And so, in particular, in the Moz House application, being able to see other applicants and how they talked about their art and what they were offering was, I felt like, a blessing from the universe. And it was kind of like I was looking through a peek hole, at the way other artists present themselves, and I really learned a lot from that.
It's pretty amazing that happened. I don't think that usually would happen.
No,
No,
I don't think you're supposed to see other people's stuff.
One thing a lot of people don't talk about as an artist is the ability to advocate for yourself and like describe your art. And because it doesn't, I mean, like they say art's supposed to speak for itself, but who's like you just see someone's painting, like, oh, that's interesting, cool. But then if you know about the artist, you're like, oh wow, look at all this they had to go through, and then they created this.
And then you're also looking at art through the lens of your life experience. And so if you're looking at, if you're looking at an artist who has a different background as you, a different life experience as you, you might not relate per se, but ideally there's something in the arts, like across mediums, where you can feel things like passion, or you can feel things like messaging and intention. And I think that's what's so powerful about art, is that it does span across language and experience.
Agreed. Sorry everybody, hopefully it wasn't too loud on the microphone. But what I was gonna say was, one of my biggest inspirations to make my own art, although I don't really ever make it, like music, if I hear a song that I like, instantly I'll have like visions of what I would do for their music video, or how I put that into a movie, like what scene would that fit perfectly in, and then I get inspired to make something.
You get inspired to make visuals, or you get inspired to make music?
Visuals,
cool.
Or sometimes I get inspired by the lyrics, but mine are not very good. I used to live in a house with 3 rappers at one point, and they would all like be okay, today we're all writing, and I was like, okay, let me just give it a try. And then my lyrics were so preposterous and just horrible, but they would always be like, oh, that's pretty good. I'm like, this is not good compared to what you guys are writing. But
well, you can't compare yourself.
I know, I can't. I do. It's hard not to compare myself.
It's definitely hard not to compare yourself. And if you get into the practice, then you allow yourself your own timeline, your own space to evolve into who you're going to be. And when it comes to any art form, and definitely emceeing, it's a muscle. You got to work that muscle out. And the next thing you know, if you were to like write every day or freestyle every day for 6 months, at the end of that 6 months, your vocabulary is going to be vast, your wordplay is going to be honed, and I'm sure that can be said to anything.
Well, have you met my family, right? Like all these very talented
people. I've met a lot of your family.
Yeah, it's very hard not to compare myself to these amazing people that I'm around all the time. So, yeah, they're very impressive. Hopefully, I can compare myself and be like, you know what? We're pretty even now, but I'll give that another 10 years. See what happens. I mean, in 10 years, who knows what they'll be doing.
I'm going to check back in 9 years and 11 months.
Yeah. Jeremy's going to be like running the first art studio on the moon. And then
I believe it.
Yeah, something like that. All right. So, how many residencies have you done before?
This is my 4th residency.
Oh, wow. So, how does your way of art change whether you're on residency or at home in Oakland?
That's a great question. I definitely would say that my experience here, I have been so inspired by the landscape, like the physical location of where I am, and how I've mostly been working in my bedroom / studio, and where the table is, my work table is set up, it's out looking out into this forest. The sun comes through. I've seen the rain. I've seen just this natural setting. And for me, I think it's dropped me into a peaceful place that I haven't been in a while. I live in a very metropolitan area. Like, the Bay Area is super expensive. It's a big grind. If you're a working artist, you're grinding all the time to make ends meet. And so I've really just been inspired and influenced by the calmness and the peacefulness of this space. And in general, I would say every residency is going to offer you a different type of environment, and that environment is going to influence you. The second residency I did, I got to do in the middle of San Francisco, and it was in a space where there was a lot of other artists, and there was a public common instruments that you could use. So there was big printers everyone could use. There was a kiln everyone could use. There was these things that industrial, art making machines that I had never had access to. And so that influenced me, because even though I went in thinking I wanted to work on this one particular series, I ended up just spending my time using all these instruments that I don't have access to on the regular. So environment.
Interesting. I could definitely see how all the different, instruments that are there would really affect what you end up doing. I saw this one art residency place. They had probably 30 different artists at once. It was just a giant house, and they had everything. They even had a 3D printer for people who would just come in and
that's
3D
amazing.
Art.
And I've always wanted to use one of those.
Same. I have also always wanted to use one of them. I'm not sure what I would make, but I think it's the possibility. I think 3D printing is so cool because the possibilities you can make anything. It's also, I think, it's also a little dangerous to let anybody make anything they could possibly want. They just find it on the internet.
Right.
But I think it's still
people
worth
are trash.
Yeah. People can make anything on there.
Yeah.
But you can also.
Well, in the hands of the right people, it can be inspiring. I saw this thing where they were making, they were using 3D printers to make housing.
Oh.
And it was really interesting, and these houses were super eco, warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and I just thought that was so brilliant.
How's it even possible?
Basically,
how big of a 3D printer do you need?
Well, it was just it was like a 3D printer, but it was on big, huge cranes, and so it's hard to kind of explain on audio, but I'll send you a link.
Yeah, please do. That's very interesting. Okay.
Industrial 3D printing.
Okay, so here's one of my secret questions that I told you about. This is kind of a hard one. What is the most important personality trait for an artist?
Wow. What is the most...
In your opinion.
Okay, give me the question one more time.
What is the most important personality trait for an artist?
What is the most important personality trait for an artist? I mean, I think you need to be... I would say... I want to say out of touch with reality a little bit. I'm not really sure.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
I'm not really sure how to word that, but what I mean to say is the ability to live in a level of imagination and of the unknown, and maybe even of the absurd or the ridiculous or, the wild, but also grounded enough to then bring that into physical form.
It's very hard to bring the absurd into a reality. It's one of my biggest gripes with being an artist is I have all these great ideas, but how am I going to get them from my brain onto a piece of paper or into...
The challenge.
Yeah, that's
Do
the
you
true
accept
challenge.
this challenge?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of what you said is kind of in your name. Aima the dreamer. Are you a dreamer or are you stuck in reality?
Right. I'm definitely a dreamer. I believe in allowing ourselves, especially queer, black and brown people, allowing ourselves to be in our imagination, regardless of what our everyday reality is like, to the point where even if you don't see a way, to acquire or live this, maybe best life scenario or whatever it is you're imagining, still just let yourself be in that and feel the feelings and embody that to your very bones. And I promise you, you will see a shift. You will see a change. You will see things come to be through your imagination. And we need more dreamers in the world, and we need more people in their imagination to get this planet together, to really be thinking about a better way.
Agreed. Yeah. And dreaming, you can turn your dreams into reality, people. It's very I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's definitely possible.
Yes.
It's been done. You can do it too.
We're doing it right now.
Yeah, we're doing it right now. I just thought of this podcast randomly. Now I just checked the other day. Doesn't seem like a lot, since this is only, I guess this
No
will be our
disclaimers.
8th episode.
That's a big deal.
Yes, we had 8, almost at 10. I'm gonna pop a bottle on that 10th episode drops. But we had like 400 listeners for like one podcast, and I was like, oh my god, what is going on? Why does people care about what I have to say? What is it people? Because in my head, I'm like, oh my god, everyone's coming for the artist. Like that's who people come for. I'm like, oh, 400 people listen to another one. Like 400 people listen to this one, and those same people said, I'm gonna listen to another one of these podcasts because I can see them like
they're connecting to what it is that you're facilitating.
I hope so.
I mean, and I'm sure it doesn't hurt to have interesting people on your podcast.
It does not. That's
and being an interesting person.
Exactly. The artists that have on here are what make the podcast special. And without them, there wouldn't really be a podcast. Just me talking to maybe Jeremy all day, which if he had that, which could be interesting. But he's a man of few words, but when he does talk, he makes you want to listen. So I'd be diluting it with having talked to him all the time on a podcast.
Have you interviewed Jeremy?
Not yet. I'm saving him.
Oh, that's right.
Saving him for...
You told me that.
Yeah. We have big plans in the next 2 months. Hopefully, you guys will see an interview with Jeremy, and I promise you, it will be the most creative interview yet. I'm hoping to maybe not necessarily scare Jeremy, but give him a good... get his heartbeat up a little bit.
Lots of secret questions.
Yeah, lots of secret questions. And not everything will be as it seems. That's how I'm going to put it. Not everything will be as it seems on the interview.
Ooh, I love that.
Maybe he'll be listening to this part and start thinking about how ridiculous I can get. You don't know the half of Jeremy. Okay.
Going off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm. So, back to you. This is kind of a broad question. Why do you make art?
I originally started making art as therapy. To have a creative way and an outlet to process the world around me and what was happening to me as a child and as a young adult. I found a lot of comfort and solace in the creative space. I also grew up around creative people. My mother is an amazing artist, Renaissance artist, and my grandmother was well versed in, I think what some people call arts and crafts, but what I call like the original form, because I believe that with any level of mastery and expertise, whatever it is you do is art. So I came from a creative background and also just wanting, like I said, to process the world around me. And then when I started doing, being in spaces where I was doing my art professionally, I was getting paid, it was becoming financially sustainable, then what made me want to make art in those spaces is to amplify my beliefs, amplify the voices of my community, and create experiences for people to connect and to communicate with one another in a way that allowed them to be in their imagination, allowed them to get out of their head and into their heart. And I think art is one of those pathways to do that.
Very interesting. Okay. So this isn't a secret question, but I think this is a good question.
More secret questions.
That will be after this one. I will.
Okay.
Is there something that I haven't asked yet, but I should ask you about?
Oh, now you want me to do your job for you.
Exactly.
Now I'm interviewing myself.
This is the podcast secret. All the greats do this.
We might have to come back to that one.
Okay.
I'm not sure right yet what that question is.
Then we'll hit the more secret question. This
Double
one's
Jeopardy.
Definitely out of the box. Been asking everybody this question since the alumni show interview started. Do you believe in ghosts and spirits? And if you do, could you share a paranormal story with us, please?
Wow. I do believe in an unseen world. Ghosts, spirits, vibe, energy, what kind of lies beyond the veil. I do believe in that. I don't think I've had any direct paranormal experiences where I've seen apparitions or heard spirits talking to me in a direct way, but I often get what I call truth bumps, which is when I get goosebumps or chicken skin when something resonates true, or like if I talk about my ancestors, or if I'm talking to someone about the paranormal or the occult, or just philosophies that feel true or ring true, then I'll just get full body goosebumps. And to me, that is always been a sign to pay attention to what's happening right now, pay attention to what people are saying. I've also experienced having ringing in my ears when something was really important. And it wasn't tinnitus. It was specifically connected to what was being said in the moment, or what was, happening in the space. And I also feel really connected to the unseen world through certain harmonies. So like if I'm listening to music, or I'm listening to singers, or there's some like specific type of resonance or harmony, I feel like I'm touching something divine, something otherworldly. So music has been a vessel for that type of experience.
Very interesting. You're first person I've asked to have called it seeing like past the veil. I think it's very interesting because that's what I would also call it.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to. It's interesting to.
You're with the kindred spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it does kind of feel like that. Like I'm definitely like not one of those human beings where I'm like, I know for sure what reality is. There's so much unknown. We're floating on a blue planet in the middle of the cosmos. I mean, to assume that everything that's happening is pretty arrogant. Mm-hmm. So being open to the other side, and I think especially like when it comes, for me, I would say like my biggest connection to the spirit world is when I talk to my ancestors and I talk to people who have transitioned. I feel them for sure. I feel them. Actually, when I was out with Kelly yesterday, and we went to Cuffy Beach, I believe, mm-hmm. and we walked down the beach and into the graveyard that's over there. Like right when we walked in, we were surrounded by monarchs, butterflies, just swirling all around our heads. And then like we looked up into the sky, and there was a rainbow spot, like iridescent rainbow spot on the cloud, not an arced rainbow, but just like in the clouds. And that felt like a spiritual moment for me. That didn't feel random. It felt like we're entering sacred ground.
I definitely want to go back to that, to
yes.
your time hanging out with Kelly. That's something I definitely want to talk about.
So, yeah, I believe. I'm a believer.
I'm also a believer. It helps. You talked about music for a second, and how that kind of helps you see into past the veil. Mm-hmm. If I try hard, I have bad hearing, so one day I was like, you know what, let me just try to feel my car speaker is very, very powerful. A little too powerful, honestly. It gets a little too loud for my passengers. But I can't tell how loud it is, how loud it really is. But one day I was like, oh, there's a speaker on my dashboard. So I like put my hands on it. And I just like listen to the vibrations. And then eventually it would like be like, the vibrations like it's almost like braille, but in a vibration, and it like says a color. So it's like this.
You like heard color in a way.
Yeah, it was like saying the colors to me. So I started like, I wasn't seeing colors in music, but I was hearing the colors in music.
I forgot what that's called,
but
hearing colors and seeing sound.
Yes, I was feeling the sound truly. But like a lot of the, it's not very often in rap where you get like or in hip hop music where you get like a godly, or sound. I feel like it's not as often. When you do, it always rings like the same color to me. Like
what color?
Very similar to your hair color.
Like an indigo.
Indigo, purple, like anything.
Ultraviolet.
Yeah, blue. Anything usually starts at blue, and then it's like a lot boom bap to me. Is like blue and red, like survival and truth. I think that's how I see boom bap. So just sharing that tidbit with the listeners.
That is super powerful. I was pulling cards from my tarot deck this morning, and I pulled the card The Messenger, and it was talking about Sirius. Am I saying that right? Sirius, the star, the dog star.
Yeah, Sirius, like Sirius XO.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I know it.
Sirius, yeah. It was talking about that star and how there are souls that keep returning to this planet to be messengers and to like push forward the evolution of people and the solidarity of the world and to heal the world, and that those messengers often show up as blue. That color in specifically is connected to like higher thought, and I know it's connected to the throat, speaking your truth.
That's interesting. I never really thought of the people. I definitely believe in reincarnation, people coming back, but I never really saw them as like the blueness. But I could totally see why, because they would know things. They'd be able to tell us the truth easily, not blocked with lies.
Have you heard of indigo children?
Yes, I know. I mean, I think the first time I heard of it was like that artist, Indigo Child.
Okay.
But I know of. Oh God. Yeah.
Of
Our lights always
of
turn
the
off.
idea.
Yeah, I know that there's like a few of them. There's like, there's another one, like a crystal.
The term that I'm talking about is the idea of these children who are specifically being born in this era right now, to bring about change and bring about unity. There's a whole generation of those particular souls, and they're called indigo children.
Oh, okay. I know exactly what you're talking about then. I don't know if I necessarily. I've met a few. Like, I don't know if they're actually whatever.
I've met a few too.
Yeah, the few that I've met are like, oh, you're a rainbow child, and I don't really know. They would just leave it at that. I'd be like, I have no idea what that means.
Right.
But,
they're like, I see
cool.
you.
Yeah.
I really see you.
Interesting. Thanks for letting me know. And then they're like, look it up, and it'd be nothing. It'd be like, oh, how do they know something I don't? They find information I have no idea how to access. Interesting. Okay. So, let's go back to Kelly and your hangout, your tour with her.
My tour.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what did you guys do?
We started off with lunch at Roomba, which was a Caribbean-themed restaurant, which I was kind of skeptical of because it was all Caribbean food, but it was like all white people. And so I was kind of side-eyeing the whole time and then making a little bit of fun. But then the food was so slamming. So I was like, oh, my bad. I was like, somebody's in the kitchen. Yeah. So that was a funny little moment. But we had this beautiful meal. It was so good. I had some seafood. We were right on the bay. And I think she had shrimp and grits, and we had some Dominican ribs, and everything was so wonderful. So that just like started our whole experience off really well. I'm a tourist, so I'm like, oh, we're gonna eat first. This is already a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, we went to. I'm trying to remember the course of the events. After lunch, we went to see the Shinnecock monuments, which were so incredible. And for those of you who don't know, they're these huge LED screens that have all this like great messaging and promotion. And I loved all the like land back and, you know, Native people are still here, and like all the messaging I thought was so incredible. And I want every tribe to have one across the state. And I thought just how powerful it is to be in this place, Southampton, that is so well known for its affluence, and to just have this like bright in your face, you know, screen that's just truth telling.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really cool. So we went to go see that. And then we went to Cuffy Beach. No, wait. Then we went to. Okay, I might be getting the order of things wrong.
That's okay.
But we went, I think, to her Kelly's art studio, because Kelly is also in an artist residency. And we went to her art studio, and it was on property of this really well-known artist who, I can't remember his name. I should have taken notes. You'll have to ask her, but he I guess back in the day, he would bring a bunch of people to this area, and he would like teach all these art students, and he would paint you know, Shinnecock people, and he has like a couple really well-known paintings, and it's definitely like problematic. And Kelly was kind of sharing how she kind of blames him in a way for in this way where he brought a lot of attention to this area, in the sense of like it's this like magical, mystical place that you can come over here and you know, like have this whole experience. And meanwhile, like the people of this land are in servitude, you know. So that was so it was really incredible to hear that story, and also see her on this land, you know, as a Shinnecock woman in her own artist residency. I was like, oh wow, this is like a reclamation moment that felt really powerful. And I got to meet the woman who owns the land and see all these chickens. So many chickens. Hope. Yeah. And then they were sharing to me Hope and Kelly were sharing with me how they're in the process of like working to preserve the land around it, because it's sacred burial sites. And then we went to the point where the point that's the land back point, where there's, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what it's called? I have a photo of it.
I probably do. When you say point, I immediately think of Flying Point, which I think is not what you're talking about.
Peconic Land Trust.
Oh, the Peconic Land Trust. Okay.
Yeah, we went to the Peconic Land Trust. We went to that point, and I got to see that burial site. And Kelly shared with me the tradition of burying the Shinnecock people facing to the west, so that they can find their way home, and that it was common to bury folks at the highest points. And so when we were up there, it was, I mean, the energy there was palpable. It was like calm, serene, peaceful, very still. And so we could see both sides, both points of water. So that was really powerful. And then we went to Cuffy Beach, and it was so beautiful. And we went to the place where the freshwater and the saltwater flow into each other, where which is also really, I always feel like those are special points, like energetically, where saltwater and freshwater meet. And I found a bunch of wampum shells. Am I saying that right?
Wampum, yeah.
wampum shells, which were so beautiful. So then I was like gathered a bunch and I brought them back here to Ma's house because there's this like great exhibit. So I thought maybe y'all could use them here.
Yeah.
So then I brought them back, and then I saw a horseshoe crab, I think.
Oh, yeah, those are weird looking.
Listen, this, for everybody who doesn't know what a horseshoe crab is, it's kind of like if a crab was an armadillo and a stingray. It was an armadillo stingray crab.
They look a lot like stingrays.
Yeah.
They're just weirder.
They look like armored stingrays. Yeah. So we saw a bunch of those, and I was like, whoa, that's really cool. It's like, whoa, what is that? This is cool. And then she was like, pick it up. And I said, no, you pick it up. I was like, you pick it up. So Kelly picked it up for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Then I brought that back here as inspiration. And then we went to the graveyard that's over there. And right, like I was saying, right when we walked in there, we were surrounded by monarchs, which made me feel like the ancestors were definitely there. And I know for me, I have a little sister who passed away and my father who passed away, and they often show up in my world as monarchs. And I know that that's them. So it just felt a connection to that. And there were so many of them. It was wild.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw a monarch butterfly.
Right when we walked in, there was like 6 or 8 of them. They just started flying around us, and the light was shining through their wings, and it was just like, oh, this really special moment. And so then we walked through the graveyard, and we said, what's up to the ancestors, and then we came back, and then she took me on a tour of the res, so I got to see like where the church is, where the community center is, and the elder center, and the preschool, and medical dentist facilities, and where the powwow field is. And I just, got to really just kind of see the meeting grounds, and that was really special. And she was just like telling me stories. And also I asked her, what was it like to run for like an official position, and that whole experience, because we're really close in age, and I'm just in general, I'm super curious about that. I think with like just seeing so many people like myself and young black and brown people go into positions of power, it's just really inspiring to me. So I was asking her about that, and she was sharing with me about what that was like. And then we came back here.
Wow, you guys had a full day.
We had a full day. We were gone for hours.
Yeah, wow.
It was wonderful. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly's the best. One of the, I couldn't believe, I thought Kelly, I would have voted for Kelly if I could have when she ran.
I would vote for Kelly too.
But half of the family was unable to vote for her. And yet she still, because me, my mom, my sister had all just moved back right when she was like voting, and then we missed. You had to be here for back in your residence for 6 months at least before you can vote in one of the local elections here.
Okay.
So just so people don't
just show up for election.
Yeah, show up for an election.
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate. And this is her first time running. People never won the first time, and the youngest woman ever to pretty sure get elected on there. She got elected by people that are not part of her family, and so she truly won. That was amazing.
Won my heart. And when I listened to her, well, first of all, her knowledge of the culture, the people, this place, I could feel the love and the passion coming from her, and that was so powerful. And also she just has she's a visionary. She's got great ideas.
She does.
You all are in good hands.
Yeah, I agree. Kelly could be someone to change the world. She already has a little bit. Mm-hmm. Keeps going. Mm-hmm. The lawyer and artist is a pretty interesting combo. Right? You don't find many of those out here.
She's a double, triple threat.
Yeah, exactly. Triple threat.
Secret weapon.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about the place she took you to eat. Do you know her husband's a chef?
Oh, yes. She did tell me.
Yes. So, I don't think if Kelly tells me to go eat anywhere, I'll be like, okay. Because I don't think she's going to go. Because her husband, Jake, his restaurant that he works at is like one of those super fancy rich people restaurants that you go and you see the little tiny portions on the plate,
Right.
and you're like,
where's the rest of
this
it?
looks horrible. Why would anyone want to eat here? And then I went with Kelly. We had this award ceremony like right down the street in Hampton Bays, I think it was. And Kelly's like, "Oh, we'll go see if how Jake's doing. We'll go work. He's working." Some of the Ross had a free appetizer, delicious. It was like, I was like, oh, they've been judging places like this a little too harsh. And then they brought out this dessert. They're like, Jake came out and was like, "Oh, you guys want anything sweet before you go?" I'm like, okay, sure. He brought out this like special sponge cake with this sorbet, and I looked at it and it looked like a piece of art, and I was like, "There's no way this is gonna be that good." Probably the tastiest sweet I've ever had in my entire life. I had no idea what was going on. I'd judged these restaurants too harshly, and now
turns out
they give you a little bit because it's so good. They don't want to spoil you or something. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's not the case with every place, but this place was. I wish I remember what it was called, but it was exquisite. And there was some famous person outside too.
So it was a whole scene.
Yeah. I think there's someone from the Marvel movies, Wolverine, I think, was there recently, and Kelly was
Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, Hugh Jackman was there. I'm pretty sure.
Gosh.
I am 90% sure that's who Kelly said was there last time.
I swoon.
Yeah. I can't. He was
Love
having
Hugh
I think it was
Jackman.
his wife's birthday or something. I could be wrong. Hugh Jackman, if that was not you, I'm sorry for name dropping you.
If that was not you, disregard.
Yeah, disregard. But it was someone interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure y'all see famous people out here all the time.
Yeah, my sister's she's very much into that entertainment industry. She's similar to me in terms of like she wants to do TV and movies, but she's more into like the culture of it and like all the actors. So she's actively watching
knows
for people.
Who is who.
Who's coming
and what they do and how where they are in the industry.
Where they are, if they're visiting Southampton, they're visiting New York City. She loves she's run into Taylor Swift a few times. But the last person I can remember, people don't like this person anymore. But before his downfall, he was in one of my favorite movies ever. And I think the movie's called Baby Driver. His name is like Ansel Elgort. Yeah. No one really likes him, but he was at the powwow. Like last time we had a public powwow before the downfall. And Isabel saw him, and this was the height of his career before everything went to shit for him. But she like ran over. He was with his girlfriend. Isabel recognized his girlfriend, who is not famous. And it's like
She's
I know
on top of it.
Yeah, I know who that is. And then she and then he was like in one of the shops, and she was like talked to the girlfriend first, and was like, and they got a selfie together, all three of them. So I don't know how you recognize a famous person's significant other, and just know like that takes some true commitment to the craft of knowing. Who
I
everyone
am
is.
the worst at that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. I know I probably should care more, but I don't really care as much.
There's the really famous people who I know. Well, when I was in like elementary, mostly middle and high school, before I really like got into music, I had a few friends. Like rap was like the cool thing. If you didn't listen to rap music, you weren't cool. My friend, one of my best friends ever, his name is Jesse. We'd be waiting at the bus stop. He'd go to me, "All right, Hunter, name 10 rappers," and I'd always be like, Eminem, Kanye West, Dr. Dre, and then he'd be like, "Name another." We'd stop. I'd have those. He'd be like, then he'd name like 30 of them, and then now he thinks I can name more because he's gone off into like his sneaker. He's like a fashion person now. He really is into fashion, things like that. In contact, he got me into like sneakers and whatnot. He's a good person. Nice. One of my faves, but every day he used to judge me for not knowing enough rappers. So I remember that, Jesse. Just know, I will get you back one day.
You'll be ready with those 7 more.
Yeah, I can name 7 now. Some of my friends, if they count too, I could name them. Okay, now I can name you too.
I was just about to say you could add Aima the Dreamer to that list.
You don't even know who that is, do you? Do you, freaking Jesse? You gotta stay hip. You have no idea. All right, let's get back to you now. Oh my god! Every time you take a pause, somehow you've done amazingly. Every time the lights go off, you just keep going.
You know what it is that I was here last night working till the wee hours of the morning, and the lights just kept going off on me. So I'm now at peace. It's not startling me like it did last night.
No. Everyone else I interview down here they notice it happening. There's like a audible pause.
Right. They're all,
where you can hear it and you're like, oh. And then they'll start going crazy, trying to get it down. And then
Right.
we'll go back and then
then all the
continue.
cool dance moves come out.
And
Where you're trying to get the
I only
sensor.
have one where I just wave my arm. I think it's this way rather than this way.
Right, classic robot.
Yeah.
To get the lights back on.
I am a horrible dancer, so this is probably my best, as best as it will get.
You're too rough on yourself.
I am actually a bad dancer.
You know what?
I am a horrible
For the rest
dancer.
of this interview, I challenge you not to say anything bad about yourself.
Anything bad about myself? I mean, I could do that. For sure.
Okay, do it.
But, okay, well, I guess I've already been challenged. I am a fantastic dancer, but I'm also a liar.
I think that goes into
No, lying is good. It's just like acting. I'm a good actor.
Okay.
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 I think acting is kind of like lying because you play a character. So,
Okay.
good liars are just actors.
What character is interviewing me right now?
This is, I don't know. It just takes over. Hunter 3.2. That's what I call him now.
Aha.
I think for the podcast, I'm pretty just myself, except I think about what I'm saying more. Because this is supposed to be this is a safe space for everybody.
I appreciate that.
I don't want to create any hostility and I'm a very, I'm not going to say judgmental person. I'm not judgmental. I don't care what you're doing. But the looks in my face, you may think I'm caring what you have to say. My friends will notice.
I have a natural frown. So if I'm not making a facial expression, I look upset.
Mm-hmm. I just can't help it. I hear something that my brain perceives as bizarre, and like it just goes quick. I'm like, okay,
goes with it.
And I'm like, okay, it's fine. In my head, I'm like, I don't care if they do that. That's up to them, whatever they want. But then they'll see my brain like cranking in my head, or I'll just like look at them, I'll give them a weird look for a second, and then I remember be like, oh, can't judge them. And then.
So when everyone had to wear masks, were you just like loving it because you were just behind your mask making all kinds of faces?
I mean, I was. It was pretty funny. I think my mom's mask was pretty funny. I was judging her mask, and then I was judging my mask a little bit because
your mask was amazing.
I think my mask is awesome. I can't stop comparing myself to the other artists in the room. It's just it's a natural weakness.
It's when that day comes where you're like, I am just me. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be so great, and then you're gonna hit me up and be like, yes, I get it.
It's not my fault. I'm just surrounded by amazing people constantly.
Yeah, I mean, you have to consider that you also are amazing.
True. Yeah, I have no rebuttal for that. Thank you. I am amazing.
Mic drop.
Yeah, mic drop. I almost hit the microphone. Okay. Back to your stuff.
All right.
Enough about my thinking I'm inadequate. Okay. What work are you most proud of?
What work am I most proud of? Well, I'm pretty proud of the album that I just dropped with my group, Femme Deadly Venoms. It was a labor of love and passion, and it is like a hip-hop feminist manifesto for this time and age, and it's very message-driven, and it's probably some of the most important music that I've ever made because it's so raw and authentic, and the point of view is kind of no holds bar truth-telling. So I feel really proud about that. I am really proud to being committed to my artist practice and choosing it. You know, I think putting myself out there to be at residencies, to share with people what I'm doing or what I want to do, that process is something I'm really proud of. So maybe it's I'm like working on a series right now. It's not completed, but I'm someone who celebrates the wins as they come. I don't really wait for some big win. I'm like, every little win, I'm celebrating it. And that's a practice in, self-worth. And it's funny because I heard this term instead of work ethic, worth ethic. And I thought that was really powerful. So I'm definitely proud of the process. I have an event that I put on in Oakland, California with 2 other African American women and queer. It's a QT BIPOC monthly daytime event. It's called So Lovely. We've been doing it for 10 years, and I'm really proud of that. That we've been providing this safer space for our community to connect for over a decade. Wow. So I feel really proud about that. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now I feel really proud.
Good.
No one can tell me anything.
True. Those are some pretty impressive. I was thinking that I should listen to the entire album and do a review, but then I was like, you know what? No one's gonna care about my opinion.
I would love that.
On your type of music. I just thought that wouldn't be my place to
I
dissect that your art form.
I would love to hear your feedback on it because that's what makes me a better artist. It's not taking on everyone's criticism, but it's allowing the space to have people reflect back to you and to understand like what people are picking up on, what people are getting out of something. So
okay, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah. I mean, at least listen to it.
Yeah,
the review part we could leave or take, but
yeah. I'm definitely gonna give it a listen.
Yeah.
I usually listen to albums that I'm like thinking like, okay, I'm gonna sit through it at least twice fully, because especially with my ears, I always miss some stuff.
It's 8 tracks, so I think it's less than an hour.
Oh, easy.
If you take a drive, just pop it in. Let me know what your favorite song is.
And that's how I like to listen to my music, on the drive.
Yeah, and it's cool because my group, we all of the beats are made in the group. Lady Fingers, who's this, talk about a Renaissance triple threat.
I think I heard that name before.
Oh, she's incredible. Lady Fingers, she's a DMC turntablist champion. She's really incredible scratch DJ. She also is a beat producer. She's about to drop a lo-fi album. Actually, I'll keep you posted on that. She makes all of our beats for the group, and she's a singer. And we write all of our own lyrics, and everything's done in-house. So
very awesome. Do you guys always go to the same studio, or do you work with a home studio?
We do a lot. Well, 3 of us are based in the Bay, and then 1 is based in Atlanta. So we do a lot of creating in our own personal spaces and a lot of scratch vocals and stuff. And then we take all of that preparation work and we go into a professional studio. And it's been different studios, but we have an incredible engineer named Hednotic out of Portland, Oregon, and they're really brilliant musician and engineering like God. Like their ear is, I've never met someone with an ear like that.
Wow.
So we're really lucky.
Yeah. A good engineer changes everything, for sure, when it comes to making music. Okay, well, we're nearing the end, but I would like to give you an opportunity to, if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me.
Oh, yeah, I would. What made you want to start a podcast?
Let's see. I thought, with all the artists in residence, thought it'd be really interesting to have more content, and eventually, basically what happened was we won this artist grant, me, Brianna, Anthony, and Jeremy, awesome. Which allowed us to do work like full time and still get paid like a fair amount, so we can like really work on our craft and then our own work. And part of it was like, what would I do as like the director of productions? How many different things can we do? So the podcast would be great because you're going to have interesting people here. I'm a pretty good public speaker. One thing I will say I'm great with is I'm very funny. No one can tell me otherwise. If you don't believe, then something's wrong with you. But yeah, I think I'm very funny and personal. I'm good at talking to people. So I was like, well, I can do a podcast. It seems easy enough. A little harder than I thought it was going to be, for sure. Definitely harder. But so I thought it'd be great. Interesting people, like conversations. show made itself, and then eventually add the video aspects because I'm a video artist and I'd like to head to there.
I'm excited about the video that we're going to make tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, people aren't going to hear this before, but there will be a video, unlikely by the time this is out, on next Friday. This will be dropping on the upcoming Friday, which I guess is in the 30th, I think.
Great.
I'd say a week, look for it starting a week after the podcast drops, that video. Maybe sooner if I become an editing god.
Right.
But,
I mean, take your time.
Yeah.
No need to rush it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good video, so keep your eye out for it. I think someone's entering our studio space.
Our sanctuary.
Our sanctuary. But we are at the end, so I guess...
Well, thank you so much for answering that question. That
no problem.
is really inspiring. I've actually always wanted to start a podcast and really inspired by folks who just do it and make it happen. And I'm really glad I got to be on the Moss House podcast.
Thank you so much for coming. And at the end, I always like to give the artists an opportunity to plug their social medias or websites, whatever you want people to come check out.
Awesome.
It could be, I think I said it could even be your friend's Etsy shop. It's whatever you want it to be.
That's great.
So,
well, please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Aima the Dreamer. That's AIMA the DRMR. So no vowels in Dreamer. Aima the Dreamer, DRMR, and that's across the board. And check out my album Phenomenon. That's on Spotify under Femme Deadly Venoms, femdeadlyvenoms.com to learn more about the group. And just know I can't do this without you. So, as an artist, it really means everything for people to tune in, tap in, and stay posted on what's going on. That's how we're able to do what we do, and just really grateful. Thanks, Moss House.
Yeah. All those links will be in the description for everybody to easily accessible. Yeah, thank you everyone for listening. I'm Lunch Begun, and that's another episode of the Moss House podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.